قولي النهارده محاضرة على الراديوميكس، انت فاكرة كويس كلامنا. امبارح كان مؤتمر الكلية على ايه؟ artificial intelligence. على كله مؤتمر كامل على artificial intelligence. فاكرة الكلام ده لما دخلنا وحاولنا نخش مع كلية الهندسة وفي failed to do this as a thesis. Now it is the start. فاعتقد يا جماعة ده الايرا اللي جاية كلها هتبقى artificial intelligence in radiology، واي هوب ان احنا كلنا نشير فيها. Thank you. اتفضلي.
I'm honored to present to you Radiomics Principles and Challenges. I'm Nisma Saeed, under supervision of Dr. Adel Ramadan. Medical imaging is an integral part of treatment decision together with other fields. Moreover, there is a link. Exploring this link takes us to the definition of radiomics. Radiomics as a term was introduced by Lambine in 2012. However, as a concept, it is applied much long before. It is a translational field of imaging trying to find associations between extracted quantitative informations in imaging studies together with clinical lab and histopathological data. Radiomics as a term consists of radio, which refers to medical images, and omics, which means generating high-dimensional data explored by complex algorithms similar to terms of genomics, proteomics, and so on. Radiogenomics is a closely related term that is concerned with relating the imaging features with gene expression and gene signatures. As illustrated here, an image is taken, then it is evaluated qualitatively by a radiologist and quantitatively by radiomic methods. Then associations are searched for, ending by has specific imaging markers for unique gene expressions. So radiomics is a quantitative methodology going to analyze the visible as well as the invisible data, exploring the microscopic level of a lesion in a reproducible manner. It combines computer science, artificial intelligence together with radiology in order to achieve precision in medical imaging, ending by having a classifier that is able to classify the disease, predict its outcome, and response to treatment. By precision medicine, we mean that people who are getting the same disease are actually different from each other, so they will respond differently to treatments. In radiomics, we are searching for specific markers to allow proper personalized treatment, ending by having an optimized response of people to different disease who are actually different, having the same disease. So the workflow of any radiomic study starts by image acquisition, followed by segmentation, processing, features extraction, features selection, ending by having a model. So in acquisition, we mean any imaging technique can apply radiomics as an add-on tool. Followed by segmentation. By segmentation, we mean that the area of interest or the volume of interest are separated from the rest of the DICOM study. This can be done manually, semi-automated, or in a fully automated manner. Followed by image processing, like motion correction to remove any motion-related artifacts, denoising, removing any other artifacts, signal intensity normalization for MRI studies, discretization, which is usually the final step in which the actual values are grouped into range interval, so the image will be feasible for further processing. Features extraction, different classifications for features are actually present. We have what is called textural features, morphological features, and regional features. But what is texture? Texture of any image is the distinct properties of this image, like coarseness and pattern complexity. It is sensed from variations in the scale and orientation of textural pattern. But in medical image, it is the spatial variation of pixel and voxel intensities. The textural informations can serve two broad imaging processing disciplines, which are the texture segmentation, by which we mean that the image is divided into different segments having different textures, and these are the basis for the computer-aided diagnosis and detection programs. For example, here is an image of cancer prostate MRI, where the image itself, the lesion, have a different texture from the rest of the gland, so the computer system is able to detect it. While in textural analysis, we are dealing with the more detailed information regarding the properties of the image itself. In a certain sense, textural analysis was always being applied in radiology, We used the term heterogeneous to describe an aggressive lesion, while the homogeneous are the benign appearing ones. Here are CT images of renal cell carcinomas, where the most heterogeneous tumor actually reflects the more aggressive subtype, while here the most homogeneous lesion is the most indolent subtype. So in textural analysis, what differs from what we used to apply is that this heterogeneity is quantified, allowing comparisons, for example, pre-treatment and post-treatment images to evaluate the response. And there is linking associations between pathological processes and the values that we get in textural analysis. Here is an RCC where the heterogeneity of the lesion is much more appreciated on the textural images, whether by fine or coarse filters. So the features that can be extracted can be related to the texture. These are statistically extracted or model-based. Morphological features can also be used in radiomic studies, like the size, the shape, and the geometry of the lesion, and the regional properties of the lesion, which means the relation to the surroundings. After that, feature selection should be done because we have a huge number of features. We need to remove features that are redundant with no clinical relevance. This will allow faster and more cost-effective analysis, as well as better understanding of the underlying processes. It can be done by statistical methods or machine learning methods. Another name is dimensional reduction. And another important of this step is allowing to have a reasonable size of the study group in relation to the features that are extracted without having an overfitting bias. By overfitting, we mean that we have large number of features in relation to the number of the study group. For example, here, if we are aiming to separate the red dots from the blue dots, this curve and model is overfitting. It means it is tailored to the study group, having excellent performance on this group, while it has poor performance on any other data sets. While having a good balance allows separation of these dots having an acceptable amount of false positive and false negative. However, the performance of this model and curve is good on our study group as well as other study groups. Finally, a model is constructed. This is done by machine learning methods in different algorithms. And finally, after that, the model that is constructed is trained for its respective tasks. Our data sets, the study group should be split into a training set as well as validating and testing set. And a reasonable percentage is to have 60% of the study group for training, 20% for validation and testing. The covariates that can be used to train, validate, or test the models are the genomic, proteomic profiles, histology, patient history, or any other biomarkers relating to their specific use. And different metrics can be used to evaluate the model performance, like the ROC curve analysis and the area under the curve, with the best classifiers that have the largest area. The pathways that can be followed, we have a traditional classical pathway and a deep learning pathway. In the traditional pathway, the features which are most important from the human radiologist point of view are used to construct the model, and these are called the traditional features. However, there is another class of machine learning that automatically discover the best features without any human interference for feature engineering, and it usually exceeds the human performance for specific tasks. The power of this technique that it extracts its own relevant features without any human interference, so no data loss and no extra errors, and it is less time consuming. It is called the deep radiomics, and these features are called the deep features. So to summarize, our workflow starts by image acquisition, followed by processing. Then we go into the traditional pathway of feature extraction, selection, and model construction, or we'll jump to the model construction by deep learning. Then models are subjected to external validation, clinical integration, then prospective validation, cost-effectiveness analysis to be introduced into the markets as add-on tools for studying our images. Then followed by updates and continuous monitoring to improve our models. But challenges facing radiomic studies are always present. First, radiomic studies, most of them are done in a retrospective fashion. Thus, they are low-level evidence, and there is no ability to control or standardize the imaging protocols. And thus, reproducibility is poor due to lack of standardization as well as limited open sources for codes and data. Lack of proper validation of these studies lead to false positive studies, which hampers translation into clinical practice in the daily use. There is an existing gap between knowledge and the clinical needs, leading to a large number of studies lacking their clinical utility. So trials to solve these problems is the Imaging Biomarker Standardization Initiative, which aim at having a general consensus on the definitions, algorithms, as well as classes of the used radiomics features. Also, imaging biobanks have been tried to be introduced, which are organized data sets of medical image collection associated with their imaging biomarkers. Several European projects are aiming at providing these imaging biobanks with the final goal of having a decision support system. Thank you.